In this lesson, you will learn how historians move from sources to careful explanations about the past. You will practice noticing what is directly visible, thinking about what clues may suggest, and comparing more than one account when the picture is incomplete. Imagine 3 records of the same fictional event. One detail matches, another differs, and one piece is missing. The challenge is to work out what the sources really support. Start with the source image and notice only what is directly visible: rows of chairs, a small stage, and a gathered group. Those details are evidence from the source. An observation records those visible facts without adding meaning. An inference goes one step further and suggests what the evidence may mean, while a claim is a statement that should be supported by the evidence. The 3 cards separate seeing from explaining. Observation, inference, and claim are different steps. Each step moves further from the source, so the reasoning must stay connected to the evidence. This separation matters because historians do not simply copy a source and call that history. A source gives clues, but the historian must first identify what is actually present. Then the historian can make a cautious inference and decide whether the evidence is strong enough to support a claim. Keeping the steps separate helps prevent guesses from being presented as if they were directly visible facts. That distinction protects the quality of the explanation. Claims should stay connected to evidence. The stronger the link between source details and reasoning, the more careful the explanation becomes. Use the 3-step ladder beside the source. How are observation, inference, and claim different, and what role does evidence play? The ladder shows how each step adds reasoning. Observation states what is directly visible, inference suggests what the evidence may mean, and a claim is a supported statement. Evidence is the source information used to support the reasoning. The chain should remain connected to what the source actually shows. Next, we will see how corroboration compares independent sources. Look first at the tags showing that source A and source B were created separately. Corroboration means comparing independent sources to see whether they support the same point. Here, both sources support the idea that an event took place in the courtyard, so that detail has stronger support. The planned starting time appears only in source A, so that detail has not been independently confirmed by source B. The central boxes show what comparison adds. Corroboration compares independent sources. Agreement can strengthen support, while unmatched details need more caution. This matters because one source may contain a mistake, omit a detail, or describe only part of an event. If another independently created source supports the same point, the agreement gives us more reason to accept that inference. But corroboration does not mean 2 matching sources tell the whole story. It strengthens support for the specific detail on which they agree. The strength comes from independent agreement. Matching independent sources strengthen support. The agreement matters most when the sources were created separately. Use the matches and does not match boxes. What is corroboration, and why does comparing independent sources matter? The 2-source comparison gives the rule. Corroboration is comparing independent sources to see where they support the same point or differ. Matching independent evidence can strengthen support for an inference. The second source matters because it was created separately. Next, we will examine gaps and uncertainty when sources do not answer every question. Look at the 2 lower columns. The sources support that an event took place in the courtyard and that music was performed, but they do not answer how many people attended. That missing information is a gap. Uncertainty means being clear about such limits instead of pretending the evidence tells us more than it does. The blank space is as important as the filled boxes. Gaps create uncertainty about some questions. A careful explanation says what is supported and what remains unanswered. Incomplete evidence does not mean history becomes impossible. We can still accept details that are well supported while leaving other questions open. The mistake would be to invent an answer for the missing part or reject everything because one detail is unknown. Careful reasoning keeps both ideas together. Some knowledge can be supported, and some limits must remain visible. Careful language keeps the boundary visible. Uncertainty means stating limits, not knowing nothing. We can accept supported details while leaving unanswered questions open. Use the supported and not answered columns. What are gaps and uncertainty, and why do they not mean that nothing can be known? The two columns show both the limit and the knowledge. A gap is missing information, and uncertainty means being clear about what the evidence cannot fully answer. They do not mean nothing can be known because other details may still be well supported. The supported column shows what remains usable. Next, we will examine perspective and bias in different accounts. Both people are describing the same event, but they did not experience it in the same role. The performer notices preparation and what happened on stage, while the audience member notices seating, crowd, and visibility. Perspective means the viewpoint from which someone experiences or describes an event. Bias is a tendency that can shape which details a person emphasizes, leaves out, or judges more strongly. The matched panels show why accounts may focus differently. Perspective shapes what an account notices. Different roles can make different details seem important. A different perspective does not automatically make an account wrong. It tells us the account comes from a particular position and experience. Bias also does not always mean deliberate dishonesty. It can be a preference or tendency that affects selection and emphasis. Recognizing perspective and bias helps us read accounts as situated descriptions rather than neutral copies of everything that happened. This makes the reading more careful without dismissing the source. Bias can influence emphasis without making a source worthless. The important step is to notice how viewpoint and preference may shape the account. Compare what the performer and audience member notice. What are perspective and bias, and how can they shape an account? The two viewpoints give a clear contrast. Perspective is the viewpoint from which someone experiences or describes an event, while bias is a tendency that can shape which details are emphasized, omitted, or judged. Different viewpoints can therefore produce different emphases. Next, we will look at contradiction when two accounts cannot both be correct on the same detail. Compare the same detail in both sources. Source A says the event was indoors, while Source B says it was outdoors. Those claims cannot both be correct in this simplified example, so they form a contradiction. The contradiction creates uncertainty about the location, but both sources still support the point that an event happened. The central clash marks a very specific problem. Contradiction concerns the same detail. The disagreement should be located precisely rather than spread across the whole account. Different accounts do not mean nothing can be known. We should separate the disputed detail from points on which the sources still agree. Here, the location remains uncertain, while the occurrence of the event is supported by both. This separation lets historians describe disagreement without turning one contradiction into total doubt. The shared box prevents an overreaction. One contradiction does not erase all knowledge. Keep the uncertain detail separate from what remains supported. Focus on the indoors versus outdoors clash. What is a contradiction, and how should it affect uncertainty? The shared agreement box helps limit the doubt. A contradiction is when accounts make incompatible claims about the same detail. It creates uncertainty about that point, but other agreed and supported details can still be accepted. The uncertainty should stay focused on the disputed detail. Next, we will see how new discoveries or better readings can revise an explanation. Look at the evidence set on the left and compare it with the larger, clearer set on the right. The earlier explanation was based on information available at that time. Then a new source appears, and one faint part of an existing source is read more clearly. Because the evidence has changed, the explanation is revised to fit the best available evidence. The right side changes because the evidence base changed. New evidence can revise historical explanations. A better reading of existing evidence can also change what a careful claim should say. Revision is a strength of historical reasoning, not a failure. If a claim was reasonable with earlier evidence, it may still need to change when stronger or clearer evidence becomes available. Historians should not protect an old explanation just because it came first. They should update it so it remains connected to the best supported reading of the evidence. The revision rule keeps claims accountable to sources. Historical explanations should follow the best evidence. Revision keeps claims aligned with what the strongest available evidence supports. Compare the earlier and revised explanation cards. How can new discoveries or better readings revise a historical explanation? The changed evidence set gives the reason. New discoveries can add evidence, and better readings can change how existing evidence is understood, so a historical explanation may need to be revised to fit the best available evidence. The revision follows the stronger evidence base. Next, we will combine evidence, inference, corroboration, perspective, and uncertainty into one way of reading multiple accounts. Follow the sources through the full pathway. Historians first observe evidence and make careful inferences, then corroborate independent sources and consider perspective or bias. They mark gaps, contradictions, and uncertainty instead of hiding them, and they revise explanations when new or clearer evidence changes the support. The final explanation is built from reasoning with sources, not copied from a single source. The crossed-out shortcut makes the lesson's main correction visible. Historians build explanations from evidence. The process includes reasoning, comparison, limits, and revision rather than simple copying. Each gate answers a different problem. Observation protects against confusing guesses with visible facts. Corroboration checks whether independent sources support the same point, and perspective or bias helps explain different emphases. Gaps and contradictions show where claims need limits, while revision keeps explanations connected to improved evidence. Different accounts therefore make careful reasoning necessary, not impossible. The complete path gives us a balanced conclusion. Different accounts require reasoning, not surrender. We can support some points strongly, mark others as uncertain, and revise when better evidence appears. Use the 6 gates from left to right. How do historians build explanations from multiple accounts instead of simply copying sources? The full pathway brings every lesson idea together. Historians observe evidence, make inferences, corroborate independent sources, consider perspective and bias, mark gaps, contradiction and uncertainty, and revise explanations when evidence changes. These steps turn sources into careful historical explanations. You are ready to use evidence, inference, and multiple accounts to read historical explanations with care.